Love your craft every single day. When you love your craft, like it allows you to have everything come together just by the simple details. I've been so in a space of figuring out the little things, the details of everything that I'm doing. And that's what you have to do. When you feel like you're in a space where there's no way out, the small things can matter so much about fixing the small parts of what you want to do with your life. That's why it's so important to know what you want to do so you can start loving your craft. Um, I think I see so many people that aren't where they are, or at least like in a space of what they want to achieve. And it's okay to not be like that. It took me a long time to know what I wanted to do. And I think once I started knowing what I wanted to do, life has started kind of crafting itself around me. And, even though I didn't know it initially, I seen it, as time progressed. But like where I'm at now, just mentally, I didn't see it, initially, and you might be in that space where you don't see where your life is initially. You don't see where life is going. And there might be small things that you need to learn along the way to allow yourself to be prosperous, and it's all a matter of like just being persistent, and when you can figure out those small things about, you know, um, getting to the point where you need to get to, those small things can allow so many things, so many doors to open, and when those doors start opening, you're going to be so happy that you started. You know, it's so many people that just don't start, and that's like half the battle. Just making that decision to start and being vulnerable, you know, and every day is a lesson for me. There's no constantly not questioning myself, or constantly like I I I have I'll say within like the past 2 weeks, I've officially started falling in love with the process, you know, with the smaller things. Like October was probably one of my best months ever in terms of figuring, an enlightened moment for me, in terms of like, it's not, people think that it's the success that allows you to grow. It's like, you must know in your heart and mind before anything happens. And when you start believing that part, everything else forms together. When you start believing in the smaller things, everything starts forming together. So I started believing in the small things about who I am, what I'm going to become, and where I'm going. And those things started accumulating just by asking myself questions, doing research, reading. I always say reading is so efficient. It's so smart. It allows you to comprehend. Don't just believe everything that you read, because everything um, might be misinformation. So you always have to kind of question things, and not always be in the space of whatever you read, it's the God honest truth, because it's not. That's where a lot of people get so misinformed about things, is because the moment they see things, they don't want to question things, and I think it takes more effort to question than to just simply like, okay, well, this is Whatever people put out, I'll just believe it. And when you start putting a um, a question mark behind some of the information that people give us, um, things start turning in your head. And when those, tools start turning in your head, you unlock so much more things within yourself that you didn't know you had initially. There are so many things that I didn't know I had initially until I started really reading, until I started really just diving into so many different things and so many books and information and just turning on those wheels. Like, there's just so many things. And um, I'm so grateful for reaching that point because, you know, I used to feel like I was behind because I wasn't the best student in class, and a lot of those times it was just like me trying to figure out something else, just because everything isn't pertaining to education doesn't mean you're not smart, and I think having the social skills in life, you know, to a degree can be more important than the actual skill sets that you have. There's so many people that have made money and strong business moves just off of their personality. I mean, you know, you can be just a very firm business person, and you make so many quality moves without even being creative. But when you are creative, those are the most important things. And I think that when you can form those things together, you know, who you are, what's your idea, how do you think you're going to form that idea, you know, and how will you get that to people? How will it reach people? And right now, just in this world now, we have the biggest medium with social media, and those that see those things are going to be very smart people. Understanding that before social media, like in the internet, it was hard to get your business idea out there, you know, and I think we take it, from, the, people that was born in the 90s and on, you know, um, a lot of us younger generations, we take the internet for granted because it's so accessible. Everybody has the ability to use it, but it's one of the most important things, even though there's so many good and there's so many bad with internet. But it's how you assess the internet, how you approach the internet. And when you approach it in the right way, you start to understand that these are some of the most important things that you can ever have. And so I'm gonna just leave you all with just love your craft every day. Love what you want to do. Know who you are internally, and that will allow you to create everything. Peace.